our longevity. He had,
Hold on to that chair and then flip
and
back.
Mackin were here, he gave me that left hook and stand up.
That's why you're
We
trying
used to
so
talk
hard.
about longevity. His mom lived to be over 100 and aunts lived over 100.
Yep.
I got a call last October from a 107-year-old cousin. So just this few months ago, we invited each other to our 100th birthday. And then all of a sudden, so the point is, as Father would tell you, you never know, and be ready to go. Right, Father? But I was asked to be short and to the point about our longevity as children. We go back 80 years to 1941. I have a picture of our kindergarten class coming out. The boys in line, the girls, and who are the two characters in the front? Arada and Schnacken Macken. Then we went to Reardon 8 years later. The first yearbook came out. The first page is the class of 49 walking out. Who are the two characters right in front? Schmacken Macken. Not only that, his birthday was the same day as my sister, Jeannie. So we have a lot of things going on. But David was a unique guy. And he loved our neighborhood. He loved history. He loved talking about the old neighborhood. Ingleside Terrace, he used to have a racetrack. And it was paved over and made a street, Urbano, where I lived for 25 years. And ironically, little Danny Duggan here was a neighbor of ours, a parishioner at St. Emilius. And Dave lived on the street that came across. Our school was at the east end. So it was natural that we went there. But the irony of the whole thing is Dave would never let it go. He would bring it up every time I got together. And he liked to tell stories about himself. Like when we were at grammar school, he played for Pac 123 Cup softball. And he was a third baseman and I was a shortstop. My dad was the coach. My dad had played ball in high school and college. He taught us, you get the ball, Mackin, you fire it to the first baseman. So we're at a game at Balboa Park, and David fires it, but he throws it way over the head of the first baseman into the bushes. And he told us 100 times, he said, I felt so bad, I wanted to go in the trees and hang myself. You can just see him doing that. And then we joined the Olympic Club at 8 or 9 years old. We used to take the streetcar down, and he would always tell the story. We would have a boxing class at Sparta Roach. I don't know if any of you were in the club then, but he Sparta would put the gloves on whoever was around. And since Dave and I were usually the only ones we'd box, and he would tell the story about I could lift him with a left punch and I knocked him flat on his back and he was cold out. Well, I knew that didn't happen. But I know I can remember chasing him around the ring when he tripped over his own feet. That's what he remembers perhaps. But David was just a special guy. And I'm glad Lisa brought up our final trip to Oregon in that red Lexus down here, 20 years old. I mean, he had it all mapped out. We're going to go to this great Mexican restaurant just south of the border, best enchiladas. And then we're going to go up, we're going to stop at some lake and have a cocktail and a nice dinner. We'll take our time. We'll get to Portland, visit the kids, and then Eugene. And so, okay, Debbie, I'll navigate. You just tell me where to go. So we went up and we had lunch. We're walking out, and you can imagine these two, you can tell my 80-year-old, we're both in our mid-80s, and we're walking across the street, and he drops his credit card. And he goes like this. He said, oh, wait a minute, would you pick it up for me? I said, David, I'm no better than you. So I get down to one knee, I pick it up, I give it to him, I said, give me a hand. He said, he gives me this limp paw, and that's it. I said, well, you're supposed to pick me up. He gets two hands, picks me up, and I finally get on my one good leg, and I grab a hold of him, and we do the 80-year-old shift over to the car. And I'm thinking, my God, if someone saw this getting in the car, we'd have a little problem. So anyway, two short stories. Portland. We stay in a motel. We found a sports bar across the street with a beer joint, and he spent an hour talking to the bartender, who happened to be a duck as well. And the next morning, I'm waking up, he's cleaning out the closet, packing his clothes, and all of a sudden, bang, crash, boom, and I said, "What the devil are you doing, Mackin?" He's in his underwear, he's looking at the ground. Well, the door over the closet was on rails, but he apparently forgot that and thought it was a door, so he pulled it. He pulled the whole thing, the rail and the whole door went crashing on the ground. I said, "All right, I'll take care of it. I'll go down and tell him." So we saw the kids. We went to the Mac Club, had a lunch, watched the ball game. Some of his buddies came over. So we went to Eugene, saw the game. And then on the way out, we figured out, let's stop at this place down on the coast. My wife and I had been there before for her family reunion. It's right on the beach. So we found it, and we had the dinner and the drinks. So the next morning, we're packing, and he's going down to check out, and another crash, rip. Boy, what are you doing now, Mackin? Well, he had the safety chain on the door, and he pulls the door open, and the whole thing came flying out. And the whole door jamb was destroyed. I said, "David, you take care of that. That's on you." That's it. But I have to stop because I'm going to miss him too much. They had a tough time during the pandemic. We get together now and then a couple of weeks, 2 days before he died, he called me up. We started talking about the old times. And he says, "I felt bad. I needed to call you." I said, "What?" He said, "Well, you asked me for some investment advice." I said, "Oh, I need to park some money for a bit, not much." But he said, "I felt bad. I'm going to come over to your house. We're going to talk about the risk reward of buying stock." I said, "David, we're a little bit behind understanding risk reward," but he insisted. I had a hunch he knew something was awry. He said, "I'm coming over here. We're going to sit in that breakfast room, and I'm going to teach this to you." Okay. The next day, things happened, and amen. David, rest in peace, young man. You deserve it.